The investigation into a fatal fire in Santa Claus has found some discrepancies. We'll have the latest, plus the Habig Community Center hosted a special event. More from today's community conversation, and Meet the Candidates continues tonight on Inform with Charmaine Clem, Andrew McNeil, and Doug Ubelor. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin tonight with more on the investigation into a fire that killed a Santa Claus resident back on Friday. The ongoing investigation into the fire has found a different source than what was originally reported by authorities. Spencer County Coroner Robert Fuller says authorities have now ruled out a dropped cigarette as the cause of the fire that killed 65-year-old Brian Gregory and injured his 66-year-old wife Maureen. Instead, he says structural evidence suggests that the fire began in the attic of the home and moved downward. That evidence led authorities to believe that an electrical issue sparked the fatal blaze. Fuller says studs in the wall were charred at the top and not at ground level, another indicator that the fire moved from top to bottom. He says as an investigation of the fire continued, the initial theory seemed to be a rush to conclusions.
They went with that. That was the easiest thing to do. There was no looking into it. It's hard to examine an area right after a fire when all the water is fresh in there. And to make a statement to the effect that that's what caused that, based on something that a woman said that was probably in shock when she came out of there, was pretty irresponsible from anybody's standpoint.
Fuller says the investigation into the blaze will soon come to a close.
This was an accidental fire. We're waiting on other reports from the forensic engineer that the insurance company hired. But as far as the investigation of the death, that's done with.
Fire crews with both the Santa Claus and Carter Township volunteer fire departments were originally called to the Gregory home located inside of Christmas Lake Village just before 6:35 Central Time on Friday morning. Police say Maureen Gregory was able to get out of the house safely. However, Brian was not as fortunate. Fuller says Brian Gregory was found sitting in a chair about 2 feet away from the door. He says Gregory was likely overcome by smoke inhalation shortly after the fire was discovered. Maureen Gregory was transported via life flight to University of Louisville Hospital. Fuller says that she seems to be recovering quickly. The Gregory's home was a total loss. An attempted theft of more than $1,100 in merchandise from the Jasper Walmart landed a pair of Huntingburg women in jail. At 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon, Jasper police were called to the Walmart on the city's north side on a report of 2 shoplifters being detained by store officials. According to police, 41-year-old Maria Ayala and 25-year-old Bessie Lopez were working as a team in this theft. Police further say the women attempted to steal just over $1,172 worth of miscellaneous clothing and shoes. Both Lopez and Ayala were taken into custody and lodged in the Du Bois County Security Center. They are each facing a Class D felony for theft. City officials, business, and cultural leaders got a chance to hear more about the importance of keeping downtown areas alive and well. This morning, the Jasper Chamber of Commerce hosted a seminar titled Creating Resilient Downtowns at the Arnold Habig Community Center in Jasper. The event is part of the ongoing Community Conversations series being put on with the help of the Vincennes University Jasper campus. The speaker this year was Dr. Michael Burayiti, Burayiti is the Irving Distinguished Professor and the Chair of the Department of Urban Planning at Ball State University. Burayiti's presentation included data compiled from 14 communities nationwide with downtowns that are considered to be healthy. The city of Lafayette was the lone Hoosier state city to be included in the study. Burayiti then applied the data to present a process for the development of a resilient downtown. That process focuses heavily on residential development, attracting immigrants, developing heritage tourism, and good design practices, among other areas. Burrieti says a healthy downtown is vital to any community.
Well, the downtown, as you may have heard before, is the heart of the city. And therefore, in order to keep the city healthy, you must keep the heart healthy. And that is why it's important that we focus on making the downtowns healthy so the rest of the city can also be healthy.
Burrieti also compiled data on the downtown health of Jasper, Huntingburg, and Ferdinand. In all, the data found that Ferdinand had the healthiest downtown, though all three communities were lagging behind other downtowns in some areas. The primary area of concern? Available housing. Additionally, Burrieti's presentation emphasized keeping local merchants downtown, as retail chains often leave towns and cities without warning. He says the best way of doing that is to embrace them.
Well, you have to get them involved in the decision-making process, because for most of them, they are in the downtown because they want to help the community, not only because they want to make money. And so listening to them, getting them involved in the decision-making process will go a long way to help keep them in town.
Burrieti has done extensive consulting work in downtown development. He is also the author of 6 books on the subject, including Resilient Downtowns. That book explores ways that small community downtowns have thrived through economic booms and busts. The head of a Tell City Economic Development Group has been honored. Lincoln Hills Development Corporation Executive Director Tom Kleeman was recently honored with the Sagamore of the Wabash Award. The award was presented by longtime State Senator Richard Young during a ceremony held at the Depot in Tell City. Kleeman has served as the Executive Director of the Lincoln Hills Development Corporation for 34 years. He has been a part of several big projects, including the Cannleton-based Indiana Cotton Mill. That project took the former cotton mill building and turned it into an affordable housing complex with 70 units. That work cost $8.5 million to complete. Kleeman was in the National Guard from 1969 through 1975. In 1970, he began serving as a caseworker and became Perry County's Welfare Department Director just 18 months later. He began his time with Lincoln Hills in 1976 as the Social Services Director. He assumed the Executive Director's position in 1980. The Sagamore of the Wabash has been awarded to presidents, astronauts, and politicians, among others. The award is designed to honor those who have given outstanding service to the state in some way. Now, the award dates back to the late 1940s when it was created during the administration of then Indiana Governor Ralph Gates. The term Sagamore originated with Native American tribes in the northeastern U.S. It described a lesser chief or a great man in the tribe that the tribe's true chief looked to for advice and wisdom. The city of Washington now has a new parks supervisor. Yesterday, Kip Kelly took the oath of office from Washington Mayor Joe Wellman. Kelly had previously been the city's assistant parks supervisor, a role that he assumed back in August. Kelly also has previous experience as parks superintendent, serving in that role from 2004 through 2008. During his tenure, Kelly oversaw park events ranging from youth fishing tournaments to the gun and knife show held at Eastside Park each year. He also assisted with various building improvements at both Longfellow and Eastside Parks. In his new role, Kelly will be supervising full-time and summer student workers in the city parks and will also report to the mayor and park board on issues surrounding any and all aspects of the parks. The Washington City Park System has 70 acres of land with 4 different parks. There are also 2 lakes and roughly a dozen buildings and concession stands. Finally this evening, 2 local mayors have been honored with leadership certificates from the March edition of the Mayor's Institute. Huntingburg's Denny Spinner received a silver certificate, while Jasper's Terry Seitz got a bronze certificate. Over the last 2 years, Seitz and Spinner completed 6 courses geared towards continuing education of state municipality leaders to earn the certificates. They were 2 out of 29 mayors statewide to be honored with the certificates. Now, the Mayor's Institute is a quarterly series that allows for discussion amongst mayors statewide about issues facing their cities. Those who participate get information from peers, guest speakers, university faculty, and association staff on topics ranging from healthcare reform to cost efficiencies. The Institute is sponsored by the Indiana Association of Cities and Towns, along with the School of Public and Environmental Affairs at Indiana University. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Gooksell, and another edition of Meet the Candidates tonight on Inform. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.